thank you so much for joining us here on Weather Center Live. I'm Vivian Brown.
And I'm Jennifer Delgado. And let's get right to the latest with the flight information. For that, we bring in our own Julie Martin. She joins us now. And Julie, you are from the Chicago area, and you have insight, because you are a native of that area, of the situation that's going on between O'Hare, Midway, and how Aurora is causing this ripple effect.
Well, you can't help but compare this to a winter storm and think,
the impact.
You know, you see the people sleeping on cots. It tends to happen about once or twice a winter, and really just stranded with nowhere to go. But that's a different situation, because that is weather related, whereas in this case, Mother Nature is not going to be able to help out here. In fact, clear skies in and around the Chicago area. That begs the question then, what rights exactly do passengers have? Right now, you're looking at what is happening in the air. Not a whole lot of action there on Flight Tracker. In fact, very few, a handful of flights being allowed to leave Chicago's O'Hare and Midway airports as we speak. And we are expecting, according to our aviation experts, this to be a very slow process throughout the day. Keep in mind, we're not just talking about these two airports, but they have to coordinate between all of the other air traffic control centers in the vicinity in terms of those flights that are coming or going in or out of Chicago. Right now, let's talk about passenger rights, though, with Mark Murphy. He is a travel expert who also wrote the book Travel Unscripted. And Mark, I know in 2011 the Passenger Bill of Rights was beefed up a bit to help people who were, say, stranded on the tarmac for certain lengths of time or for lost baggage. But what about this territory? Are there any rights at all that someone would have?
Well, no, not really. I mean, the airlines are going to try to accommodate you as best as possible. This is outside of their control, so it's really just a matter of you just being patient and realizing there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to get on your way at some point, and like you had mentioned in your previous guest, there's a ripple effect. So it doesn't just affect passengers at O'Hare. This could very well affect passengers at JFK, passengers in London. I mean, you name it, because we have a global network of these airlines, and O'Hare is a major global hub. So this is going to have a ripple effect that's going to be felt for, in many cases, several days.
One thing that stands out to me, and frankly, I haven't had a chance to check all of the airline websites, but normally when we know a storm is coming, the airlines tend to get a sense of that. They may offer those waivers of change fees. I went to a couple of the major carriers there. I haven't seen anything on their websites at this point. Have you?
I have not, and it's up to each airline whether they want to waive fees, whether they're going to allow you to change your, let's say, change your routing. If you get on a flight through Dallas now to end up in New Orleans, are they going to allow you to do that? Or are they going to want to charge you a difference in fare? And that's what you have to look at. And each airline is unique. And I always recommend people use a travel agent, because that travel agent would have been working on your behalf for the last several hours to try to get you out of there sooner, or maybe even have you drive up to Milwaukee to fly out of Milwaukee, rent you a car, get you up there, and get you on your way, depending on where you need to be. So it really comes down to the individual traveler, how they booked, what the airline they booked with, and then how that airline's going to handle them. And it's outside of their control, this type of thing. So therefore, they're not financially obligated in any way.
That's not the news thousands of people want to hear, Mark. What would you suggest their best plan of recourse is if they're stuck in O'Hare or Midway right now, sitting in the airport on their phones, frantically trying to rebook? You know, what's the best bet? Do you call the airlines directly?
I would take a deep breath, get into a Zen moment, and go enjoy my hometown of Chicago, where I was born. But if you can't do that, then what I would suggest you do is obviously talk to the airlines, try to figure out how you can get rerouted, find out if they can book you out of an alternative airport that you can drive to. I just mentioned Milwaukee being one of those. But my guess is, as they're rolling this back out, you're going to be just fine. You may end up spending an extra day in Chicago, but that could be the worst of it for the travelers that are currently stranded.
I mean, I guess it might be a good idea to save your receipts if you are paying for hotels or whatever transportation, just in case.
You save your receipts, but the airlines aren't going to be reimbursing you unless they want to do it out of the goodness of their heart. So let's just see how that goes. What do you think?
Gosh, I think I'm with you, Mark. I think I'd head down to Michigan Avenue if I were stranded at either of those airports right now. Mark Murphy, our travel expert, wrote the book Travel Unscripted. Thanks for your perspective. Unfortunately, not the news passengers would like to hear. They're basically stuck right now, and the airlines are not responsible. Again, a fire that broke out in Aurora this morning at an air traffic control facility about 5:40. More than 1,000 flights canceled at Chicago's airports. A man discovered with a self-inflicted wound marooned in the basement of that facility, and about 30 people evacuated. Right now, very few flights are leaving Chicago, and the airlines are expecting, ladies, it could be not just today, but this certainly carrying on through the weekend as well.